What's going on, my fellow reef builders? I am Jake Adams. Thank you for joining us in this part 2 of our in-depth look at the brand new 5th generation Radion from channel sponsor Ecotech Marine. This generation Ecotech Marine saw fit not just to have a small and a large version of this light, but to have a pro and a all-new blue version of this LED light. What is the blue version, you ask? In our previous video, we covered a lot of the features that makes the 5th generation light so very different from the 4th and the 3rd generation that we saw before, and started teasing some of the features of the blue version of the 5th generation Radion. This fixture has over 100 LEDs, and a good 90% of them are within the blue spectrum. I have not put this light over corals, but I'm really excited to do that because this is one of 2 coral flats here at the Reef Builder Studio. It's 4 feet wide by 8 feet long, and it's currently illuminated by 4 Radion Gen 4 Pros. I want to give you just kind of a refresher tour of this tank, show you some of the corals. There's so many different colors in this tank. It's the perfect place to test out the 5th generation Radion. Thanks again for joining me on the second part of this video, and let's get started. So this is the Radion Gen 5 Blue that I'll soon be adding to these LED lights over one of the 2 coral flats here at the Reef Builders Studio. This is a really fun tank. I gave a full overview of all the corals in this aquarium, but what I'm really aiming to target for this light is to replace this Gen 4 Pro here, which is over what I call my SPS Central. There's a lot of great, what I call hardline reef acropora corals here, and they are probably some of the most light hungry in this entire aquarium. So we're only going to replace this light, but we are going to compare basically how the Gen 5 Blue plays with others. One thing I would like to point out is how nice of a cabling job Evan and I did when we first installed these lights about a year and a half ago. You know, we're really trying to get everything perfect, and it's actually been kind of satisfying that there's been really no impetus to change the cabling again. So I'm going to get to revisit that now, and then we're going to put the Gen 5 Pro and see what these corals look like under Ecotech Marine's brand new recipe for modern coral reef aquarium spectrum. Okay, so it's actually been about 3 freaking months since I put up the Radion Gen 5 Blue. There's something about anytime you get a new light for your aquarium, I don't know about you guys, but I always prefer the older light because, you know, usually I have pretty good equipment. And you know, what can I say about the Gen 5 Blue? Ecotech Marine took so long to make a blue specific reef aquarium LED light that it's not a little bit bluer, it's a lot bluer. And so your preference is really going to be subject to your personal taste. And I think that's what most of this review is going to entail. And we're going to finish up with which one should you get, the Radion Blue or the Radion Pro. So first of all, like there's an undeniable huge increase in the amount of light because of the number of LEDs they put in the fixture and the spread. Again, Justin said that they were geometrically identical to the previous HEI lenses, but you'll see that compared to the Gen 4, I had to drop the Gen Blue a little bit, and I could still drop it a little bit more because I'm still getting a lot of blue light over here. This is a really efficient light, so I think the best a demonstration that I could do with this light is this system had 4 Radion Gen 4 Pros, rated about 180 watts apiece. And what I'm gonna do with this system is I'm gonna go a little bit into the blue end. So I think I'd like to replace those 4 Gen 4s with 3 Gen 5 blues and make this kind of a medium light blue light system. But as you see right now, this is a bright, full spectrum, highlight coral system. We've got all of our acros here in the front. We've got a bunch of Red Sea clams here from AC Aquaculture. Thanks, Chris. You know, these are light hungry animals, and they've shown they haven't skipped a beat at all as far as growth and coloration. And speaking of coloration, the extra cyan spectrum in this particular light and the lime spectrum, like I thought, would really accentuate certain colors. We're talking about neon green, we're talking about neon pink, yellows from your torch corals. So right now the spectrum is set to broad white daylight, so the lights really resemble each other. But this orange hammer right here, oh my goodness, man. When this is set to its actual spectrum, which would look really weird on camera right now, so we're not doing that, this thing just absolutely pops. So yeah, some of your neon greens, yellows, orange, and your hot pinks, the fluorescent pinks. This is really important to differentiate. There's you know, pink tip acros that have chromatic pink colors. Those are not going to be affected by the high wavelength bluish greenish light from this, but the neon pinks, like you'll find in a home wrecker or your strawberry shortcake acropora, those are going to pop a little bit more. So we've covered spread, efficiency, color. This is not just a small change from the Radion Pro. So the question I've gotten the most about the 5th generation Radion is which one people should get. And that's a tough one, but most of you are probably tuning your Radions or your other lights to be quite blue. And if you know that you want one of those pop-in Instagram tanks with fluorescent everything, most of you should get a blue tank, should get a Radion Gen 5 blue. If you're keeping chalices, scolies, lobos, blastomusas, shrooms, again with the euphyllias, the lords, all those really popping in your face corals, you should probably get the blue. If you really know that you want to lean more towards the very light hungry corals, like the acroporas, like the clams, like some of the polyporas, then perhaps the Gen 5 Pro is the light for you. Now, if you have an extra large tank, we don't have any experience to back this up with, but if you have a really large tank, you might even consider doing a mix. So I know there's a large local reef tank, it's 8 feet long. He's gonna go, I think, with like a ratio of 1 blue to 2 pros, just to get the best of both worlds. So I speak honestly that this light will smoke any other light in terms of par and spread and color. It's gonna take some time for the community as a whole to test out the Pro, to test out the blue, to see which corals really pop under which lights and which spectrums and which regimes. But really the takeaway here is that, you know, probably about 2 of the 5th gen Radions is equal about 3 of the 4th generation Radion. So if you have a light that's getting a little old in the tooth, you'll be able to downgrade. Or something that I always kind of fail to consider, you might consider 3 XR15s instead of 2 XR30s of the old style. So there's still a lot for us to learn and experiment with this light, but as you see, the color in these corals and the growth is absolutely phenomenal, especially with the giant clams, because giant clams are about as hungry as it gets. So I hope this has been an informative review with you guys. Again, I don't really want to do all the par values because I and most people don't know what to do with that exact number. In the meantime, I think I'm going to be transferring, the light workload from 4 lights to 3 lights of the newer generation. And I think that's kind of like the main takeaway here is that color side, the efficiency and the light output is really, really through the roof. You probably should see this light for yourself in person. Go to see it at a fish store, look at the small fixture, look at the large fixture, look at the 2 color forms, and see what people are saying online. But for me, definitely there's an application for both, and I'm really glad Ecotech Marine has this new generation light out on the market, because it is really, really boosting this tank's overall lighting intensity. So if you have any questions about this light that I have not specifically addressed, go ahead and put those down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the Reef Builders YouTube channel, and I will catch you guys on the next one.